Wow. Yeah. So, just so we know, we have Jeannie Stahl at the end. Mason Daring. Tim Jackson, director and drummer. Bill Idelot, camera, editing, producer, and a classmate of mine in high school. So I think we want to open it up to the audience, but I think, for me, just the way our country and our society is organized, how often do we really think about New England as a source of exciting, meaningful culture and a sense of place that really is expressed through music, theater, dance, and that really has a legacy and something that we've experienced and we carry with us. And I think that this film contributes a lot to not only the specificity of what's presented, but this concept as a whole about how where we live is important. And I really thank them for that. And also you can achieve excellence right where you are. So anyway, thank you for that. Let's see if the audience has something they want to lead with, and we have plenty that we can talk about, but let's see if anybody has any questions. Did anybody see Jeannie and Mason when they were performing in their duo earlier on in New England? Any of you? A few of you? Yes? Okay, interesting. Anybody here from Paulette? Yes? Okay. All right. So questions, any questions or comments that people want to offer?
Before we get a Susan?
No. Yeah.
Before we get a question, I just want to point out the background singer, Suzanne Boucher, is my wife. Back there, Suzanne, you want to stand up? Don't be shy. And tomorrow happens to be our 53rd anniversary.
Wonderful backup singer. And a wonderful singer on her own, not just a backup singer.
Yeah.
And also, I think you were about to say this, Mason, but our co-producer, who is Mason's partner, Dee Dee, is also here.
Say hi, Dee Dee.
I do want to thank Tim. Thank you so much. How many drummers do you know that are directors? That's really unusual. And thank you so much to you and Billy and your beautiful cinematography that you did and the editing. We just really appreciate what you did for us. Thank you.
I have to say, working with Bill was a year of intense, a couple of days a week, and we never had a single argument. Everything was so smooth. He's just the most phenomenal listener and editor, and it was a great, great combination.
What was nice between two drummers is there was never a not my tempo moment. If you remember from that.
I would say we have to cut right, and we'd both go here. That happened all the time. It was interesting.
What was interesting was there was a gap between when we really got into making a film about them. Initially, as Tim said earlier, it was just a session in Cambridge. And we had to do it when he was able to get the absolute best support players like Duke Levine and so forth, and Kenny. We had to be available on those 2 days because those guys are playing with artists all over the place, Bonnie Raitt and Jackson Browne and everybody else. So we had to squeeze doing in 2 days. I think we recorded 10 songs. You didn't see all of them. We only had so much time. And at that time, Tim was drumming. I was just the camera guy. I was setting up cameras and trying to cover all the different musicians and so forth. And we just thought, okay, this is just going to be us documenting them, putting down some of their best known songs. And it was only after that, when we started hearing and thinking back on more of their stories of their past history, was like, well, there's a pretty good story to tell here. And since I was in a high school classmate of his, at the Hill School, and I was a classmate of Daring's that at Abington Heights High School in Scranton, PA, and I was the drummer in his first rock band. But I was fired fairly early from that, and that's why I went into filmmaking. Tim is a legendary session drummer, and it turns out, and I didn't even know this when we were filming him in the session, he's also a filmmaker, a documentary filmmaker and a music guy. So Daring suggested bringing in Tim as a director to help put the whole story together so that we would have at least one reasonably objective person that didn't know the dirty stories in his past from high school. So,
Okay, Bill, that's enough. You're embarrassing us. Let's take questions.
Do you have any questions?
Bill here was also the camera person and the producer on Return of Sea Caucus 7. And he actually inspired me to become a filmmaker because in our senior year, he made a wacky little comedy film at our school called Ragu. And the following year, I got myself a Super 8 camera and made my first movie. So there you go. Isn't it great being a baby boomer? Any baby boomers in the crowd?
Any aches and pains?
Great to see such an appreciative audience. One of our problems, and Tim and I talked about this during the editing, was that the documentary, and a story, where's the conflict? We just couldn't find any. We couldn't come up with any. It's basically a fairly positive story.
Yeah.
And it's nice that people are still receptive to that.
Yeah. Which I just want to draw one special note. I mean, Jeannie, your voice remains just superb, and you know.
Thank you. It's a gift. It's definitely a gift, but I work at it too.
You work at it? You do?
Well, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Always do my scales.
We have to. All right. We have a question here. Yes.
It's really a comment. You brought back for me personal memories in the 1970s, trying to learn Guy Von Duzer tune on guitar, and hearing him with Billy Novak. And my wife and I were great fans of Billy Steen, but we lost track of them, and you brought it back for us.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I just want you to know that it has a lot of meaning to see these people are still performing that were sort of heroes for us 30, 40 years ago.
Can I tell you a funny Guy Van Duzer story? He's a great friend. Guy became friends with Chet Atkins. Chet Atkins, they met.
Yeah.
And Chet said, I heard you do my version of Stars and Stripes Forever. He said, how did you do that? The guy would do this solo version of Stars and Stripes Forever that sounded like 27 people. And the guy said, well, I got your record and I learned it. Chet said, you don't understand. He said, I overdubbed that. That's like 15 of me. The guy said, it is? Really? I know. Yeah. The guy learned it all solo. He's just an extraordinary player. And Billy Novak, they're a duo that we play. They play jazz together. They've been playing for 50 years. They just did their 50th anniversary at Passy. And Billy did a jazz ballet that premiered at the Kennedy Center and is now playing all around the world, actually. I mean, they're extraordinary. We get to spend time with wonderful people. And that's kind of what I wanted to say in this is, you know, and we're smart enough to know how lucky we are. It's that simple.
Yeah, but you write the songs, and that's important.
Well, yeah, I get to. I think she writes me off the chart. I
That's
think
not
she's-
true.
She's
I'm not a composer in the
She-
sense that you are.
she's great.
Yeah, Mason, without those songs, I'd just be making noise.
Boy, I'm so tempted to make a crack about drumming right there, Tim. I'm that close to it, you know? Before I forget, I want to say, you guys got a good thing going here. I mean, you got Middlebury, you got the college. This festival's really something. I mean, it's really the people who are working at this festival. It's incredible. And this is not a venue where you sell things. So I just wanted you to know, we're giving these. If you still have a CD player and we have, just take one of these, please. This is the soundtrack for the movie. And was anybody here who was at Ronan Nish this morning? I found 3 Ronan Nish CDs. That's all that are left in the universe, to tell you the truth. So you'll have to do, you'll have to do paper, rock, and scissors or something. They're over there at the end. But please, the three of you, help yourselves to those. Rhoda Nishwood, we had a wonderful screen this morning. It just was a nice moment. Thank you for that, Jay. I appreciate it.
Well, it's been our pleasure, and I think, again, just reaffirming that when I saw the film, and we just never get anything that really sort of sums up, as I say, this sense of place, and the sense of artistry, and the sense of collaboration, and the enduring memory, but also vitality. And I think that this film does it in a really wonderful way. And the idea that we'd have such a large crowd for a distinctly New England film, I'm also very pleased. So thank you for that.
coming.
Yes, we have a question right here.
Yeah, not a question, but a comment. I thought there was a wonderful interrelationship between the recording sessions, which were live sessions, and the intimacy of the interviews. It all meshed together so beautifully, which I think would not have happened had the recording sessions been multi-track overdub stuff.
Oh,
Was that
that's a
a
very
thought?
good point. Yeah, because they're live.
Yeah.
There's a little overdubbing. The French horn was overdubbed because that's Gus Sebring, the French horn player. Just he's the best player. I mean, he's the principal French horn player of the Boston Symphony, which means he's one of the top French horn players in the universe. And he just dropped by to sit in with us. He's a sweet, sweet man. We're once again we're lucky. And the synthesis, you make a good point. I mean, Bill Idlot, the editor, was able to, he used live versions into the studio version in ways that I hope you didn't go, oh my God, it takes you out of the movie if you notice that sort of thing. And it didn't. It's just a seamless thing. It's pretty good editing.
So you're saying the drumming came in handy then?
Yes, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Thank you, Bill. That's what I'm saying. Thank you. I don't say it often enough. In fact, I've never said it now that I think about it.
But as you're putting the narrative together and you're listening to the songs, what really worked out surprisingly well was the themes of the song, this theme of the songs, and then finding the narrative thread through all the material that we had to sort through and scripting it every day or every week to say this would work with this and this would work with it. And it just, like you said, it just thematically sewed together, beautifully. Yeah.
I'm wondering if anybody here remembers and can think of, and maybe even still, Vermont performers who've really had an impact and performed over the years and traveled all over the state. Musicians, yes. Yeah. You have your hand up, yes. Yeah. You. Okay, well, there you go.
Diana was with my sister,
Yeah.
and the difference is we didn't like the lifestyle,
You didn't like the lifestyle. Yeah.
gigging at 2 in the morning, but
Well.
yeah, Anais
And Anais, who was, of course, we celebrated last night, Anais Mitchell, extraordinary talent, yes. John Galemore, who recently passed
I knew
away.
John. I knew John when he. Did you know John back when he was?
I went to high school with John
There you
Gilmore.
go.
Yeah.
Beautiful voice.
John
Lovely
was
singer.
fabulous.
I'm with you that we didn't like in our 20s it was fun to, drive to Chicago and play there or down to Washington, D.C. We never went all the way across the country, but we tried to play places where we knew people and had friends because it would be a lot more fun. So we didn't really like our goal wasn't to keep, going on the road, and that's not a great lifestyle.
But once again, we couldn't give it up.
Clearly.
we still love, and I think soon we should move and play you a few songs because we still like to play.
Yeah, if we have one or two questions, and then let's have the
This
performance.
community is amazing that, the synchronicity between everybody. I met Mason through the manager of my high school band who I went to high school with. And he managed Mason when he got out of college and introduced me to him, so,
And manage both of us.
and managed both of you. It's like,
Yeah. Anybody else? One or two more? Yes?
There was that really funny part of the film about you coming to Vermont and did not work.
The funny part about in the film coming to Vermont and having a terrible experience.
Were you the MC of the?
Oh, what a gig! Oh, really, that happened. It was somewhere way. My memory banks have scrubbed that one, by the way. It happened way north of Burlington.
Northeast Kingdom?
Yes, it was. I
There
guess
you
it
go.
must have been up by Newport, up in the Northeast
Yeah.
Kingdom.
Okay.
Um,
That's where I live.
and And it was, I mean, there were 10,000 drunken people there, and Jeannie and I trying to sing Chattanooga Choo Choo, you know? They, you know.
Is
But
there still a
Rugburn-
group named
I don't
White
think
Snake?
Rugburn didn't last that long, I don't.
No, Rugburn never did finish their first album, apparently. But that's a true story. That gig happened. And
All right, should we put you guys up and
Yeah.
have a couple
No,
songs?
David, Jay, sorry, just one
Yeah.
more question from David
Oh,
here.
David.
The song Too Much is the beautiful song I've ever heard.
oh, thank you. That's wonderful to hear. Thank you. Thank you. That's very kind.
All right, let's just take a
Right
second
back.
and get
We're going to
this
set up. Don't go anywhere if you can help it.
Not there yet.
Oh, how's your tune?
Almost.
The usual. Yeah, right there's great. Yeah, I sing too loud, so that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, that thing. Yeah, there's the turn down a hair.
Yeah, I would turn it down a hair. I would turn. Okay.
We're gonna do, we'll do 3. Once again, we have been looking forward to this for so long since we heard that we were gonna get to able to do this. And we thought it'd be a lot of fun. It's more fun than we thought it was gonna be. Thank you.
No use crying, talking to a stranger, naming the sorrow you see. Too many sad times, too many bad times, and nobody knows what you mean. But if somehow you could pack up your sorrows and give them all to me, you would lose them. I know how to use them. Give them all to me.
No use crying, walking in the shadows, chasing a wandering star. No one beside you, no one to guide you, nobody knows what you are.
But if somehow you could pack up your sorrows and give them all to me, you would lose them. I know how to use them. Give them all to me. Well, no use roaming, going by the roadside, seeking a satisfied mind. Too many highways, too many byways, and nobody's walking behind. But if somehow you could pack up your sorrows and give them all to me, you would lose them. I know how to use them. Give them all to me. And if somehow you could pack up your sorrows and give them all to me, you would lose them. I know how to use them. Give them all to me. Give them all to me. This next song is by Nancy Griffith. I don't know if she ever recorded it. We're both big fans of hers, and we met her. Bill Stainsworth's the one who brought her up to New England. He brought her to Passim, and she played there, and then Rounder Records got to hear her, and she signed with Rounder for a while. But she's fabulous singer-songwriter.
It's called
I remember Joe.
I remember-
You don't remember Joe.
I remember Joe. Right.
Oh, you golden lights of America, Joseph sought your prairies and your buffalo, and the humming of the rails down through Kansas, they brought Joseph in from Baltimore. The cavalry, the Indians, and old Dan were his only friends. But then the old Dan died, and the Indians' flight made the cavalry young Joe's enemy. Well, the outlaws spilled the blood across the Kansas plains back in the 70s, and Joseph wore a bag from your fantasies. And Joseph bore that badge across the Kansas prairies to save the railroads. But the heroes that we made, they were ruthless soldiers. They killed for gold. Oh, you golden lads of America, Joseph sought your prairies and your buffalo. And the humming of the rails down through Kansas, they brought Joseph in from Baltimore. The cavalry, the Indians, and an old and forsaken old man. Oh, you golden lights of America, of America, of America, of America,
We're going to be, if anybody's in Boston, we have one gig left. Possibly.
Well, hopefully more.
Well, hopefully not ever, but this year, for the fall, October 18th, we'll be in Passy in Cambridge, and where it all started 53 years ago. Anyhow, listen. We're going to do one more for you. This is old Bert Kalmar and Harry Rubentrue. You heard her. She sang this in that song in the movie Nevertheless. In the movie Leanna. The song is Nevertheless. And nevertheless, I want to thank you so much for coming. It's
Yes,
just
thank you
really
so much for coming.
wonderful.
tonight.
Thank you.
Maybe I'm right and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm weak and maybe I'm strong. Nevertheless, I'm in love with you. Maybe I'll win and maybe I'll lose. Maybe I'm in for crying blues. Nevertheless, I'm in love with you. Somehow I knew at a glance the terrible chances I'm taking. We're fine at the start, led with a heart that is breaking. Maybe I'll live a life of regret. Maybe I'll give much more than I get. Nevertheless, I'm in love with you. Somehow I knew at a glance the terrible chances I'm taking. We're fine at the start, led with a heart that is breaking. Maybe I'll live a life of regrets.
Thank you very much.